Hello, this is @TeachSmith, and today I'm going to talk about why literature is Inception. So top tip, literature should cause you to have strong feelings and unusual thoughts. A text should provoke you into thinking about something in a new way. It shouldn't lecture you, it shouldn't tell you how to feel, it should provoke it or inspire it. Usually, literature raises ideas that everyone has struggled with at some point. Love, hate, fairness, growing up, finding your place in the world. It's something we've all been through, or several things we've all been through, things that are both personal and universal. Friendships, relationships, families, respect, ambition, pride, jealousy, things we've struggled with. How are they dealt with in our lives? Explored through a text, but being both entertaining and exploring and provoking and inspiring. Top tip 2. The examiner wants you to explore how the writer has tried to cause his unusual thoughts. How have they caused your feelings or thoughts about ambition, loyalty, friendship, fairness, charity, punishment? How have they caused these thoughts or feelings? One of the best ways to do this is by using analytical verbs. There are 2 great blogs that I'm going to link to that inspired this idea. What has the writer intended to do, intended to cause you to think or feel or learn? So the writer uses language to criticize inequality. The writer uses language to amplify consequences of ambition. The writer uses language to demonstrate how awful the gap is, the divide is between rich and poor.
What do you want from us?
Inception. Is it possible?
Of course not.
If you can steal an idea from someone's mind, why can't you plant one there instead?
Okay, here's me planting an idea in your head. I say to you, don't think about elephants. What are you thinking about?
Elephants.
Right, but it's not your idea because you know I gave it to you. The subject's mind can always trace the genesis of the idea. True inspiration is impossible to fake.
It's not true.
Something is not literature if it just tells you how to think, it tells you how to feel, or it tells you what you should learn. Okay, it should try and inspire you, it should try and embed ideas, it should try and provoke ideas, it should try and connect with you in some way.
The subconscious is motivated by emotion, right? Not reason. We need to find a way to translate this into an emotional concept.
How do you translate a business strategy into an emotion?
That's what we're here to figure out, right? Now, Robert's relationship with his father is stressed.
So again, these guys are essentially crooks. They're trying to break up a business empire. But again, the idea of taking a theme, an idea, an ideology even, and turning it into an emotional reaction, an emotional response, is one of the purposes of literature.
To say the least.
Well, can we run with that? We could suggest to him breaking up his father's company as a screw you to the old man.
No, because I think positive emotion trumps negative emotion every time. We all yearn for reconciliation, for catharsis. We need Robert Fisher to have a positive emotional reaction to all this.
Now, I love this idea of the concept of catharsis, okay, and I think a lot of literature does this. So catharsis is the process of releasing and thereby providing relief from strong or repressed emotions. What do I mean by this? So take the example of the end of Macbeth. The catharsis is huge. We feel a huge sense of catharsis that Macbeth is killed by Macduff. Macduff gets revenge for the murder of his entire family. Malcolm is put on the throne as the rightful king of Scotland. So we feel a great sense of catharsis. Even though it's a tragedy, we feel that justice of a kind has been done at the end of the play. And I also think in Inspector Calls, Priestley uses a kind of fake catharsis or a false catharsis. When the family find out that the inspector isn't real and that the women might be several different women, or there might not even be a woman there, they, some of them at least, experience a kind of catharsis. Mr. and Mrs. Burling particularly feel completely relieved. They're not worried anymore at all. Gerald is kind of in the middle. They're leaning more towards Mr. and Mrs. Burling. And Eric and Sheila are still horrified. And that's why we then get the real shock, the real catharsis. That's when the audience feel a kind of bitter relief almost that there is a real young woman that has killed herself. So it's a really interesting concept, the idea of catharsis.
We need Robert Fisher to have a positive emotional reaction to all this.
Okay, we'll try this. My father accepts that I want to create for myself, not follow in his footsteps.
That might work.
Might. We're gonna need to do a little better than might.
Oh, thank you for your contribution, Arthur.
Forgive me for wanting a little specificity, Ames. Specificity?
So that's something I think a lot of students who study English get very frustrated by, the idea that there isn't just one right or wrong answer. But hopefully you should find it freeing. If there's an idea that you have, or you feel that you've been inspired by the text to have this idea, or provoked by the text to have this idea, and you can back it up with your evidence, then that's acceptable.
On the top level, we open up his relationship with his father. Say, I will not follow in my father's footsteps. Then the next level down, we feed him. I will create something for myself. Then by the time we hit the bottom level, we bring out the big guns.
My father doesn't want me to be him.
Exactly.
So again, this is so exciting, I think, to talk about in terms of language paper 1 question 3, and also in terms of literature. The idea of structure, the idea of layers, the idea of seeding ideas that are then developed later. So a great example of this is Macbeth. So Macbeth at the start is brave Macbeth, but we also know he has the potential for great violence and to be quite barbaric when he carves his way through the enemy soldiers and cuts open the enemy, the traitor, and cuts his head off, you know, unseamed him from the nave to the chaps. That shows great potential for violence. And then when he's so conflicted about killing the king, it's tearing him apart before he even does it. He is hallucinating the dagger before he even kills the king. So when he finally does kill the king, we have this breakdown due to the conflict inside of him, and we have this great violence that we knew what he was capable of at the start of the play. So it makes sense. And there's a mini version of that going on in language paper 1 question 3.
Pure creation.
Shall we take a look at some paradoxical architecture? You're gonna have to master a few tricks if you're gonna build 3 complete dream levels. Excuse me.
What kind of tricks?
In a dream, you can cheat architecture into impossible shapes. That lets you create closed loops, like the Penrose steps, the infinite staircase. See? Paradox. So a closed loop like that will help you disguise the boundaries of the dream you create.
So again, this is so important to understand. Literature is not reality. Literature is a construction. That's what we mean about structure. Literature is about distilling, heightening, compressing real experience so that something is produced, something is created, a feeling is heightened, tension is heightened, things are slowed down, sped up, warped. It's like a hall of mirrors or a maze, or it's not real. It's there to cause and provoke emotions and feelings in a certain way, and writers will intentionally take liberties with things on purpose, in terms of time, in terms of space, in terms of behavior, in order to provoke a reaction from you. So how do you apply this? Well, again, ambition is a great example. How is a character developed over the course of a play or a text in terms of their ambition? Macbeth, he knows ambition is going to lead to trouble, but he is caused by Lady Macbeth to tip over into this, into the killing of King Duncan, which has great negative consequences for both of them. The same can be argued of Mr. and Mrs. Burling. Mr. Burling has the ambition to create a great business empire. That's one of the reasons why Sheila Burling is marrying Gerald Croft. That's one of the reasons why he does not raise wages, because he just wants to make the most profit possible. And he's almost pushed on by Mrs. Burling, because Mrs. Burling wants prestige and power and status, and she doesn't want her name to be dragged through the mud. She doesn't want to associate in any way with the lower orders, which is why she ends up turning away her own grandchild and the mother of that grandchild and letting down her own son. So using these words, exploring, criticizing, amplifying, intentions. So I sincerely hope this video has been helpful. Thank you so much for watching. I've put links here to some of my most popular videos because I feel like they genuinely have been helpful to people, particularly around poetry. Please like, subscribe. I'd really, really appreciate it. Thank you very much for watching.